All right. So, hello everyone. Welcome to another Microsoft Excel and data analysis session. Today, I'll be taking today's session. So, I'll also be the moderator and also the speaker. Today, we'll be looking at VLOOKUPs and its limitations. So, the Microsoft Excel and data analysis session is being brought to you by UrBizEdge, and UrBizEdge is a registered Microsoft Excel consulting, financial modeling, business intelligence, data analysis, and enterprise solution firm in Nigeria. They're also the developer of the only Nigeria financial market analysis tool on the Microsoft Office store, and also the developer of the Nigeria stock analysis dashboard. This is the upcoming training calendar for next week, May, where they'll be taking big data, advanced financial modeling, and the mock exam. So my name is Benedict Ifeanyi Iheagwara. I'm also a data and business intelligence analyst with UrBizEdge. I'm also a technical writer and a content creator. I'm also an open source contributor, and I'm also the community manager for the session. And this is my Twitter handle, and you can search for me on LinkedIn. So I'm going to make everybody a speaker so that whenever there is a question, you can unmute and maybe ask a question during the session. She'll also be moderating and also she'll also be moderating and also be the one presenting. So today we're going to be looking at VLOOKUP. So VLOOKUP basically stands for vertical lookup, and VLOOKUP is used for you to use it to search for stuffs in a table, like you can see in this image. Okay. So if you have a question, you could just unmute and you could just feel free to interrupt me. All right. Right. So VLOOKUP is one of the lookup functions, and it also allows you to search for stuffs in a table according to the rule, because it's a vertical lookup unlike HLOOKUP. So VLOOKUP has four different so it asks you for the lookup value, the table array, the column index number, and then do you want an approximate or do you want the exact figure? So we're going to just take a look at that. Right. So for today, we're going to be getting our data from I got data today from Makeup Monday. And today we're going to be looking at the data I brought was this. So we're going to start with a very simple data. We're going to be taking out so how does 1 gig of mobile data cost in the country? So this is the data set.
Hello, Ifeanyi. I think you stopped sharing.
Oh, sorry for that. Yes, sorry, I got disconnected. Let me just unmute everybody again. So yeah. Oh, please just think if you can hear me.
Yes, I can hear you.
Hey,
Okay. Right. Make it present. So okay. Right. So I'm sharing my screen again. Right. Okay, so today I said we're going to take a look at this data to explain VLOOKUP, which is how much does 1 gig of mobile data cost according to countries. So I got the data from Makeup Monday. They have a list of free data sets which you can get from. So this is the data set. I'm just going to take a look and open it. Here, enable editing. Okay, so like I said in the presentation when I was presenting, I mentioned that VLOOKUP is vertical lookup and use VLOOKUP to look for something in a table by its rule. Okay. Yeah. Okay, so this is the data set. We have a list of countries. These are the ranks from the less expensive, I think, to more expensive per data. Okay, so these are the list of country. Okay, so we're going to take a look at VLOOKUP. So for example, we are trying to use VLOOKUP. So most of you use VLOOKUP to look for an item in a table. So let's say we have maybe a country. Okay, here we have country, and here we want to know the average price of gigabytes of data. Okay, so whenever I type a country here, I want here to pick up the average price of a country. So for starters, let's just pick up India and we'll check if this works. Okay, so I'm just going to take a look at VLOOKUP. So we're going to use equals to VLOOKUP. So equals to VLOOKUP. So we're going to for the first example, we're going to take a look at, we're going to use fx so that I'll explain like what every single one of the functions look for. And then the second time I'm going to do is I'm going to use the result writing using fx. All right. Okay, so if you click on fx will help you, like for starters, to better understand a function. So first of all, VLOOKUP asks you for the lookup value. In this case, we're trying to look for India to find out what is the cost of India from this data set. So the next thing it asks us take table array. So table array is above. So you're looking for India, and in what data should I go and look for what you're looking for? So this is our data set, and this is the table we're expecting to see the word India. So we're going to pick up this. We've picked up the table array. The next one we're going to do is now look for the column index number. The column index number, what column index number basically means is, column index number basically means, so what you're looking for is in what column of a table. But before I do this, let me not confuse it. Let me just delete this. Oh, yeah, let me just. Okay, delete button. So it goes to VLOOKUP. This fx. Okay, so look up our, this time, so we're looking for the word India from this table. Our table array is going to be this table. So you select the entire table. Then it asks you for the column index number. By column index number, they mean what you're looking for is in what column, like what number is in what in the table, what column is the number of what you're looking for. So we're looking for the average price of 1 gig data. The average price of 1 gig data is in the second column, which is column B in this out table. the country is column 1, which you can see as the list of countries. The second column in our table has the average prices of 1 gig data, and the third column has the rank of the countries. So what we're going to put in what the number 2, because what we're looking for, the average prices, can be found in the second column of our table. Next, we're going to look at the range lookup. By range lookup basically is just telling us, asking us if it doesn't find the word Indian, and maybe, for example, it finds a word or it finds a country that's also spelled like Indian. So let's say we have, okay, like Indonesia or something. So should it give us the value for this second country that looks similar to India if you can't find the word India? So table array gives you, you have to give it 2 options. Is it that you give it a true or a false? You can give it a true or a false. Most times people give it like a number, which is like 0 or 1. 0 is kind of like you saying false, meaning that you want exactly the match. That means if you can't find the word India, you should just return an error, or like you should just not an error, you should just return like non-available, the NA error, meaning like you can't find the word India, for example, here. So we're going to give it a false. So you can either write a false, or we can also write a true. So let's just write a false for now. Okay, and we're going to press OK. So we'll get the rank. So whenever we change our country to a country that is here, we're going to get a different country. If, for example, we get maybe, for example, let me see if Nigeria is here. Okay, Nigeria is here. So let's say we have a country that is called maybe like here. So we'd have a country called dog. So it gives us the NA value. So that if you VLOOKUP went and looked into this table and you didn't find this word in this table to give us the average price of the data cost in this table. Okay. So far, was this understandable? Okay. So that's like a simplified version of VLOOKUP. So now let's try it without using the fx. So if you're just going to type VLOOKUP, so whenever you're typing a formula in Excel, and the minute you're typing the formula, for example, and this subtraction like pops out, it should be authenticator that what you're typing is wrong, or you made a spelling error or something. So you can press where you see it. You can also press the tab button on your keypad. So it auto completes the spelling for you. And Excel always gives you the suggestion. So you can see the first one here is the local value. The local value this time is going to be like last time, India. We're looking for India in this table, comma, the table array. Array means a list. And we're going to giving us our table, which we're going to select our table. So we can do a control shift, and you can go right since I'm trying to go right, and I'll go down since I want to go to the end of the table. Okay, then I press a comma. So whenever you're doing a particular, or you're putting a particular input, you notice everything is a bit like graded out, and where you are at the moment show it's dark, which is, you can see, a table array. Table array is the borders in this suggestion. So at the moment we're in table array, so I want to then give it the column index number, and between the table array and column index is a comma. So I give X to the comma, and it takes me now to the column index number. Okay, so the column index number, we're looking for the average price of 1 gig data. So I'm going to give it a 2. And next, it asks me again, do I want approximate match? If it doesn't find the word India in this table, should it give me something that looks similar to India? I don't want that. I want exactly India. So I'm just going to go with a false. So VLOOKUP will find exactly the exact match of what I'm looking for, which is what I want. And I close the bracket and I press enter. So that's the basic of VLOOKUP. So if, for example, let me say I also want to for example, let me say I want the rank here. Will anybody help me like walk through maybe once you feel I'll put here to get the rank of India in this table? So the local value is going to be
F4.
Yeah, F4, which is our India. Yeah, and our table array.
Yeah. A1 to I think C156, I guess.
Yeah, the entire table. Then the lookup array, the column index number this time is going to be
3.
3. Exactly. Then I'm going to give it an exact match.
False. Yeah.
Okay, false. Exactly. So there are some instances where you might want to also give it a true. So for example, an instance where you might want to give it a true is let me copy this and okay. Let me design names of people. Oh, I'm sorry if your name is there. I'm just guessing, putting random names. So yeah, let me say this someone's name. Okay. Enough. So an instance of this. So let's try using VLOOKUP to look for something in a different table, for example. Okay, so you have names of students here. You have like English scores, the scores from that English test, and we're doing a grading system. For example, let's just say we have a simple 4 grading system. If you get an A whenever you get you have an A, okay, let's start with a B. Here you have a B, here you have a C, and here you have a D. You have an F. Okay, so whenever you are this, and then want to get the grades. This is an instance when you might want to use the other score. So, but most of the time you're going to be using the first which you kept behind. So, for example, now you want to get the grades of various students in using this as a marking scheme. So, the first one to do, we're trying to use VLOOKUP to see if we can get the grades using this scheme. So here we're going to go do. Okay, I can't do this here since I've not yet showed you the limitation of VLOOKUP. So we'll come back to this. Okay, so let me just show you the limitations of VLOOKUP. I just remember that. Okay, so if you remember when we started the presentation, this was how our original stuff was, and I moved the rank from the back of it to the front. So that's one limitation of VLOOKUP. Okay, so let me show what I mean. So when we're doing this, okay, so when we're doing this, we're using VLOOKUP to look for India in this table. If we try to use VLOOKUP to do this in this table, the way we did it here, we'll get an error, first of all. Okay, so this is what I mean. So if we come here, we do equals to VLOOKUP. Again, we're looking for India in this table. We select this table. We want our column index number is going to be, what number will it be?
2.
So no, we're
Oh,
looking for the average price.
okay. The
The
average
average
price
price.
3. 3.
Yeah, 3. Okay, so we do 3. And we'll give it a false. And we'll close the brackets. Get an error. Okay, so I get an error because the word we're looking for Indian is in this table, and VLOOKUP doesn't look behind it. So VLOOKUP has the first limitation of VLOOKUP is that it doesn't look behind. So that is what does not look behind. So we're going to also like look at other instances of this, or maybe how you can solve how you can solve this again. So for example, so yeah, this was the problem. Okay, so we're using VLOOKUP to look for India in this table array first. And so VLOOKUP has to start with this column before moving to B, before moving to C. So first of all, what we're looking for is on the second column, and we've already made it to look behind it, first of all. So to solve a problem like this is as easy as you just, this part of your column, your table, you wouldn't select the entire table. What you should select should just be these two tables. And here your column index number will be back to 2. Right. Do you understand what happened? I don't know. Okay, so there's no question. So when you are trying to look for something and what you're looking for is not starting for, it's not at least not starting from the beginning, or you're trying to use something maybe in the middle column to look for something in front of it. If you look up, you have to start that use your table array from that particular element you're trying to use to search for the other element, which is this. And then you can start counting from there. So it's 2 in this system because our table started from B1 because it will see something. So from B1, so technically this is now our first column in this table that we gave VLOOKUP here. And this is now the second column in this our table that we gave VLOOKUP. So that's the first instances of this. So that's like the first limitation of VLOOKUP. You can also use VLOOKUP to look for something in a different sheet. So if, for example, for example, when what we're looking for is not in this, also we do not have this data in this sheet. We do not have this data. We're trying to pick something from, we're trying to pick the prices, the average price of 1 gig data from this column, from this table, but we want to put it in this other table, for example. So let's say okay, so let's say we want to go to this table and we want to fill it, the average price of 1 gig data from this other table. We want to fill it in this new sheet. Add this requires VLOOKUP to do that. So we're going to use equals to, again, equals to VLOOKUP. Lookup array is in there in this case. In what table array? We'll come to this table array and we'll pick out this comma. The column index number in this time is going to be, again, want to know the average price, which is column 2. So even though you're looking for something in a different table, it's going to be exactly the same thing. Then also what false, and close the brackets, enter. But if we go down here and we do this, do you think these figures will be correct? No, do you think these figures will be correct?
I think it's correct.
I think it's correct.
Yes, I think so.
Okay, I think it's correct. Okay. So in this instance, it's going to be correct because our sheets are exactly the same time. But let me switch up this a bit. Okay. So let me do this now. So equals VLOOKUP to look for Afghanistan in this table array, we want the second column. comma, want exactly it, which is false or 0. Okay. Oh, okay, I made a mistake. Okay. Okay, so he said it's correct. He said it's correct. Wait, so we're getting any. Why do you think it's not working? Okay.
The lookup order,
The lookup order. What do you mean by lookup
like
order?
like maybe if it has looked up, maybe if it's looking up the other sheet from top to bottom, it's not going back to look at the previous ones it has looked at before. So it's just going down.
No, no, not exactly. So this is what is happening. So new windows. Okay. Okay. So if you look at this sheet, the reason we're getting any here is because our formula, our table keeps moving. So in this time, we're going to look up values in from A1. Yeah, you can see A1 to we don't need this again. It is better. Okay, from A1 to A this. But if you look at this, you notice the sheet number are moving. So this time the data is not looking from the beginning of data, it's looking from like from it's not from A11 to C66 because of the Excel referencing problem. Right. When if you're like trying to look for something, we're trying to look for from the same sheet. If we're looking for different each of this one here, so this one can move. This is all right, but we don't want this to be moving, so we have to stop this. Usually use the A4, use the FN A4. Now if we press enter and we drag this down, now we should get the exact same figures and no any. So that was the problem. You just have to simply lock your sheets because the data was already, our data table or what we're looking for was moving from one side to the other side. Okay. So I'll try something a bit different. Okay, so I also got a different data set here from Rivian Analytics Unicom company. So private companies that have an evaluation of 1 billion as of March 2020. So this is the data set. These are the companies, these are the validation, this is the date, joints, the countries, stuff like that, Okay. So I want to build a table here. So whenever I select a country from here, I'm going to use data validation to pick random companies from here. When I pick companies from here, I want to be able to pick out their validation, the dates, John, the industry, the city, the country, the continent, the year founder, the founder, and the funding, and the rest, and the rest. Okay, but this time, let me say, for example, I want to be able to pick out, I want to use, get this sheet. So go to data validation, list. The source is going to be okay. So whenever I pick a company, I want to just show me the different distance. So we're going to use a simple VLOOKUP to do that. Then equals to VLOOKUP. We're looking out for this, right? In our table array, we'll select everything. The column index number this time, we want to know the validation, which is in column 2. So we're going to put column 2 and want to know exactly it. So I close the bracket, press enter. All right. So whenever I pick a different companies, it gives me details about it. Okay. All right. So if I drop a different company, if for example, let's say for example, we're just giving a list of companies here. It gave me the right numbers, right? You can pick any random company here. So let me use this. So let me pick a different random country here. But whenever I pick a random company, it gives us the right figure for what we have here. But if I drag this here, do you think I'll get? So do you think I'll get the right stuff if I drag this down here? So you see, I get an NA. If I keep dragging try to drag my VLOOKUP. So when I drag my VLOOKUp down, it gave me a figure. If I try to drag it like this, I'll just get any. So dragging VLOOKUP down is okay. That's because it's just going to look for this in this same table array and where it gave me the figure. But the minute I tried dragging it down here, it gave me an any. So do you you have a reason can you say why it's giving us the wrong value? So during when you try to drag VLOOKUP in like down here, this time VLOOKUP is looking at B2, looking for B2 in this table array. It's no longer looking for the kernel of the company in this particular list anymore. And it's also trying to return us the column 2 of it. So we're trying to use something now that we'll use VLOOKUP to look for. Trying to see we can use VLOOKUP to look for. Yes, because the formula is not like applying to this thing. There's been a shift in what we're looking for. So there are multiple ways of solving this. The multiple ways of solving this, for example. The multiple ways of solving this, we can use the column formula, or we can use the mask formula that it should look for. So the first thing we're going to do is that we're going to, let me delete this. But first we're going to do is we're going to formula and tell it to view, show my formulas. So much. Okay. So this formula, the problem is what do you think is the problem in this formula? If we're trying to do it correctly. So for example, let's do it correctly here. So VLOOKUP, look for whatever is here in stable array, but this time I want it to give us the gem which are the third column. Give us exact match, close brackets, enter. Okay, so our dates here is supposed to be a date. So I'll copy it, I'll paste this. Okay, if I do a formula text of this, okay, yeah. See, I got the different. Ignore this company. This is just showing us the name of the sheet. But you can see, yeah, it's longer. Yeah, this one, what we drag is left, you're showing us for B2 in this table array, and it's showing us for column number 2, and the same false. Is there a question? Peter.
No.
So that means we need to make a formula that, so what make a formula here that we are dragging it, like it should also show us the country here. So we have to also lock this one. That's the first thing we need to do. So to make it B2. So do a control. So not control. So F8, either FN F4, or you just press F4 on your computer. It depends. So NF F4. I lock this. And now if I drag this here down, and I drag this down here, I see. But now it's showing us for. But now it's showing us like the value of the validation tool instead of showing us for this. So normal what we're expected is that it gives us like here should be VLOOKUP of whatever is here in table number 3 and false. I've expected it to have given us. This is what I've expected it to have given us. So here instead of it giving us a data set and the source file. So a data set most of the times are usually referred to as your flat files. So like your simple Excel file, it depend. I can give you a data set. So maybe if you even go to your database and you just download the file just to operate on, that's just simply a data set. So it's just a data set. It's not like I'm not expected to like to grow. So if maybe today they add new data to it, what I have for my computer is just a data set. It's not connected to the source file. But more for like your data source or your source, it means like you're connected to the actual source. So as soon as they're updating or as soon as they are feeding it more information, your sheets or your whatever you're using is reflecting that new information. It's not static. Anyway, does that like explain it? But there's a way that it can also be used as alternative. Your data set can still be your source file. Even maybe what I'm working on is just like I'm just working on this. This is my data. This is the source of this information I'm giving you. But like your data source is usually you're linked to the exact data source. It could be your database where you are feeding in more information, or a data set is just simply usually it's just a static. If I just working on right now, just a data set. Okay, so what we are going to do now, so now we need to make our VLOOKUP formula smart enough that instead of it's giving us returning 222, because when we drag it, we need to make it dynamic enough that it gives us we need to make it dynamic enough that it changes from 2 to 3 to 4 to 5 to 6 to 7 to 8. And that's why we're going to use the column. We're going to use the column formula to solve that. So that we're going to use the column formula, or we can simply just use a match formula to do that. So let me show you what the column formula does, first of all. So the column formula does this. Okay, so now we have these columns here. If I come here and I do equals to columns, and I select, sorry, and I close it, brackets, and I press enter. It tells me 10. It tells me 10 because we have, if I use my country, I shift and select all the way down here, you see, yeah, the count of the column here is 10. So it's giving, so the column formula basically just tells us like how many columns that is our column. So what we're going to do now is we need to make it our this VLOOKUP formula smart enough that whenever it's moving here, it is like it comes here and it counts like how many columns is it, how many columns is it, how many columns is it. So we can do this two ways. So this is what we're going to do. So let me break down what we're going to do. What we're going to do here, what we're going to use equals to column. We're going to also use the same thing that we did from this to this. Oh, sorry. Oh, can you hear me now? I don't know if my internet went off. Oh, can you hear me now?
Can hear you.
Can you hear me? Oh, okay. Right. So I'm going to just use if I do column of this and this. Column of this and this, I close the brackets, it shows me 2. So I wanted that then there should be equals to be columns of, well, this and this and this, right? And gives me columns of, well, this and this and this, I close brackets, and it gives me 3. If I look at these two formulas, what they both have in common, they're both sharing A1, A1, A1. So we're going to use this formula we wrote here now, but we're going to lock the A1 so that whenever the VLOOKUP formula moves, it also counts the number of columns for us. So I'm just going to come here. Let me copy this, for example. And in this VLOOKUP formula, instead of putting number 2 here, and I'll log this F. Now let's see if this works. So I do this, and then I drag here. And now we're getting the right answer. If I come here and let me pick the very first company on the list.
She was a great woman.
So you drag it down. Yeah. So whenever we pick, yeah. So whenever I pick any company here now, it gives me the detail of that company and the validation and the industry and the city, the country, and all. Okay. Then I know I need to show you how to use VLOOKUP and the match formula. VLOOKUP and the match formula. Okay. So maybe let's just delete all of this. This one acceptable. So that is VLOOKUP and the match formula. So in all our cases, we'll be having a line of columns and something. But this time I want that whenever I pick a column here, no matter the column no matter the column I pick here, VLOOKUP gives me details about that. So yeah, I'm just going to use the same thing I did. I'll use the data validation to give me a list of all the companies available. Okay. Then I wanted that whenever I pick any of my columns here, for example, so I'm just using another data validation. A list of my source is going to be let me try this. Oh, whenever I put anything here, she gives me the details about the company, depending on whatever I ask for it to give me. Okay, so let's start with so does they want to know what industry it is? So we're going to do equals to VLOOKUP. We're looking for this in this table. Want to know the column index number. We're looking for at the moment for the industry, which is column 1, 2, 3, 4. And we're going to also want to know the exact match of it. And we'll close the bracket and press enter, which gives me this supply chain. But if I come here, for example, and I want to know the date John, see, it's giving me the wrong value for it. Or I come and I want to know the validation, it's giving me the wrong value for it. So I want to see that whenever what I change or whatever I put here, it gives me details about whatever I say. Okay, so this is where we're going to use and it's not where you can use the match formula to do it for you. So using the match formula operates like this. The match formula operates like this. So here we have, or even need to create a new data set. And just copy this. Okay, so for example, let's say I want to know for canvas. Right, so I do equals to match, so the match formula does. And I want to know the lookup value, so I'm looking for canvas. Just for the lookup array for canvas. So canvas is in this particular column, so I select this particular column. Right, and when I put comma, it has before do I want less than it, greater than it, or less than it, greater than it, or this, but I want the exact match of it. So I put 0 and I close the bracket and I press enter. So canvas is number 4 on this our list, which is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah, number 7 on the list. Number 7 on the list. If I come and put stripes, Just been stripes number 5 on the list. So we can use the match formula in this instance. So what we're going to do now is, we're going to tell it that it should, rather than it's us coming here and changing the column headers number to whatever number our column is, it should just go and rather do it himself. So we're going to use that match again. This time we want to know whatever we put here, which is B1, in what value. So this is our lookup value. You should look at this list for us and give us exactly it. So I'm going to close the brackets now. I press enter. So if I do a drop down for maybe in this place, so whenever I come here and I pick anything about the company, like the dates John, this date is Excel's way of reading dates. So I can simply come and just keep it as dates. So whenever I pick any detail about any company at all, the city it is, it gives me information about it. And if I come here and I change the company, I also get FX, where's FX? Oh, okay, it's blank. That was given. Yes. Okay, let me pick a different company. So whenever I pick a detail about it, it just shows you anything about the company. And whenever I pick any other information about it, it gives you details about that. Okay. So beside the problem of the table, that you have to make sure that what you are selecting should be the first table, or at least you should, when you start your table selection, you should pick what you're looking for should start the table, and looking back, VLOOKUP that's major limitations of VLOOKUPs. So I didn't mention like how you can solve it, for example. Okay, so are there any other questions? Are there any questions? Hello. Okay, so
Can you hear you?
all right. Okay, so there's one more trick again. I forgot to mention. The other one I forgot to mention was, can't use, I'm not sure I can use this data to really solve it. So to do it. Okay, so this is random data. That's very random data. That's a fake data, so nothing. Yeah, true. So whenever you pick, so once you do it out, whenever you pick a, so let's say for example you want to have, okay, so the limitations of VLOOKUP. So the first limitation of VLOOKUP I mentioned was the case when I mentioned that VLOOKUP, the first limitation of VLOOKUP is it has that VLOOKUP doesn't look back. So I would, the law of looking back, VLOOKUP doesn't look back. So doesn't look back. Then the second limitation, the second problem I mentioned was also the table stuff. So we particularly also, and that's if some people also forget, is that look back also where the table array stuff, where she mentioned that here we have two different data sets. Here we have the data in two different ways. The first one here showed us the country, the average price, the rank. But let's say, for example, maybe this one. Yeah, so let's say, for example, this one. Yeah, so let's say, for example, but this one is now the rank, the country, and the average price. And you want to look for the average price, and you do equals to VLOOKUP, looking for India, but you pick these data sets now, and you said because you picked this, you want the average price, so you go with 3 because it's 1, 2, 3, and then you use force, and you do close the bracket. It gives you any problem, though everything looks like it's correct. But the problem is that your table array you selected the table array you selected 1, 2, 3. Like you selected for rank, we're starting for rank. What you should have actually selected here should not have been this table, but rather, since what you're selecting is you're looking for India and it actually starts from column B, you should have just selected this. And here, will be 2 and not 3. You get the right answer. Okay, it's still kind of the same, doesn't look back issue that it does. Another way you can solve you can solve this, for example, that's what I was going to use this again. So let's use like this data set now. So let's say maybe you want to have this here. So you want to do whenever you want to use VLOOKUP now to use the number is changing because it's a random train formula that's there. So it's just being random values. Okay. So this is the same, doesn't look back issue again. So now you're trying to use states. You're trying to use the word number in this case, or the word name to find the states the word is located using VLOOKUP. If you try to use VLOOKUP like you know it, so use this to show you. Let me give space. Just delete this. So if you try to use VLOOKUP to do this, like you use VLOOKUP to look for this in table array, and you say your column index number, where you're looking for state, set is in column 1, and you say you're using false, you will get an error again, because the word number comes after what you're looking for. So what you're looking for what you're using to look for something should be the beginning. If maybe you've moved the words, even if, for example, the word was actually here, and you use the formula now. So let me just change our table now. Now what we're looking for is column 2. You see we got the correct answer in this case, but this is not the case. Our stuff was actually like this. So you see that you move this now to the beginning, but you can't always do that in all your data sets. Or you use something like you can use the choose formula to create any one. So this choose formula was something like I learned from Dr. Mahmood, and you can use the choose formula to kind of create a new column for yourself, to create a mini table which you use to now look for it. So this is how the formula actually works. So if I come here, so let me just show you how it works. So if I come here and do equals to choose the index, you're trying to look for for our index in the choose. So if I do use this and I want just for this, like how the formula works actually. So if you have this, for example, here, and you do equals to choose, I want the second word from this list. I close the brackets, I press enter. So on the second one for me be like do and this means second word of from this word I gave it from this list. I gave it. Yes. So we're going to use something similar to that. So this time what you're just going to do is equals to choose. Once you're gonna go to use this, so you want to create your own like 2 columns in this case. And this time I want the very first value should be this. And the second this, and the second one should also be the same thing, but this time A. So if you see, it was created like a mini table for us here now. So he has created a table. The choose formula has created a table for us that has the words now coming before the state, which is what we would have preferred in an IDing condition. So since we have this table, I use this as our lookup table now. And instead we now do a VLOOKUP to look for this, but look for it in this new table that we just created, which is what you're seeing here. And this is our new table. Our words, what we're looking for is actually in the second column now, for example. The second column actually. Then we press false and then we'll close the bracket. And now we're getting the exact answer. So the first problem of the first or the biggest problem of VLOOKUP is still the fact that you cannot look behind. VLOOKUP does not look back. So what you're looking for should always like ideally start the table you want to. Should ideally start your table array. But with this choose formula, or you can either simply move it, you can also solve that problem. So that's it. Then the one of whenever you are dragging your columns, you should be careful of the arrangement of what you're looking for. So you can either use the match formula to actually you can count it for you, or you should look at the heading for you and count it. Or you can use the column formula to also again count it for you again. Okay, yeah, so I was saying that we filled in, so we took VLOOKUP today because somebody mentioned that they wanted to learn about VLOOKUP. So if there's any feedback or something you want to learn, or any speaker you want, you can put it on the feedback form. For the video, sorry, I think my internet went off again. For the video, I'll share the link to the YouTube channel. So this link to the YouTube. Are there, sorry, any questions or something I could just take all over again? Maybe any questions at all? Okay, if there are no questions, so this is the, so thank you for coming, and this is the, by the end of the session. We have another session, however, in an hour time, where we learn about Power Apps form ratio. So this is the session link, and again, thank you for coming, and sorry for the internet stuff. Sorry about the internet. All right, thank you.